Welcome to Focus on Health, a series of educational programs highlighting current health issues sponsored by the School of Nursing at Salisbury University. I'm Dr. Mary DiBartolo, Professor of Nursing at Salisbury University and host of the program. We are here at MAC Inc., Area Agency on Aging, to film another segment of Cooking for Health. And a regular special guest of mine is Katie Dorsch. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
You are a clinical dietitian at Peninsula Regional Medical Center, and I want to congratulate you on a recent accomplishment. Not only are you a registered dietitian, of course, but you also got a specialty certification in oncology.
I did.
Nutrition associated with oncology,
Yep.
and you're the only one on the entire Eastern Shore with that certification.
I think so.
So that's just great news, and that's one of the areas you work in at the hospital.
Right, I do work in oncology, so it was important to me just to have that certification and give the best care I can to my patients and have that extra knowledge. So, yep, I'm happily a CSO now.
Very good. Now I know today our program is entitled Healing Spices. So let's get started. Talk to us about the various spices you brought in today.
Sure, so I brought a variety of spices, which just to let you know the difference, herbs come from the leaves of plants, spices come from roots, from bark, or from seeds of plants. So there is a difference between herbs and spices. Today we have spices. So I just wanted to highlight a few common ones. You can probably smell them.
Smells like fall in here.
These are very fall, popular in fall. So we have a few to talk about. This first one here is allspice, which allspice, it's called that because it kind of has a flavor similar to cinnamon, to clove, to pepper. So it kind of mimics a lot of different flavors.
But it is from one source, even though it's called allspice.
Even though it's called allspice, it comes from these like little seeds. They kind of look like little berries if you've ever, or little peppercorns if you've ever seen whole allspice. This is ground allspice. So it's very popular in Caribbean foods, in Central American foods, in Middle Eastern foods. You've probably had this before, maybe in jerk chicken. There's a lot of allspice in there. It's also helpful with digestion and with bloating. So it's a great spice to have on hand. All of the spices that we have phytochemicals. So phytochemicals are those compounds in foods that have some therapeutic properties. So whether it be anti-inflammatory or antioxidant or even, anti-mutagenic. So keeping our cells healthy. So that's why these herbs and spices are so important to incorporate into our meals. So that's allspice. This is cinnamon, which of course is very popular. We use it in all kinds of things, sweet and savory dishes. It actually comes from the bark of a tree. So it's a tree, it's kind of this reddish brown color, and they peel off the layers of bark, and that's how you make cinnamon sticks that you find kind of rolled up. And then of course that bark can get ground into this powder. So cinnamon, they've done a lot of research on, especially in regards to diabetes. So you might have heard a lot of people saying, oh, I take cinnamon for my diabetes, or it helps my blood sugar. So they're still doing a lot of research into that. It's not recommended that you stop your diabetes medications,
of course,
and just take cinnamon. But it may help regulate blood sugar and increase insulin sensitivity. So it's an exciting area of research.
So more to come on that, though.
Yes, more to come for sure. But for the time being, it's certainly recommended that you use it in your food. So this is ginger. Ginger actually comes from the root of a plant. So if you've ever seen it in the grocery store, it's kind of this gnarly looking root. You can buy it fresh and grate it or mince it. Some people will even peel it and you can slice it and make a tea with it.
Yeah, there's been a lot in the news about ginger and the therapeutic properties of that.
Sure. So ginger, it does have some anti-inflammatory properties. Of course, inflammation in our bodies can lead to some issues, whether it be cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all kinds of health problems.
Even Alzheimer's disease now, they're saying, has an inflammation component. So.
Right. So definitely trying to reduce inflammation, eating lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and incorporating some of these herbs and spices where you get those phytochemicals can be helpful. Ginger is also great, especially in the population I work with at the Cancer Center, because it can help with nausea. So whether it be the ground ginger or ginger chews or gum, or even over-the-counter ginger supplements can be helpful with that.
Although ginger, I find, has a more, definitely has a flavor to it that some people don't care for. You either like it or you don't, I think, or you can maybe mask it in some things.
Yeah.
Of course, it's used a lot in Asian cooking.
Right. It does have a very strong, almost spicy flavor, so not everybody agrees with it. But if you combine it with some other things like cinnamon, that's more of a warm flavor, kind of tones it down a little bit.
Okay. And last but not least.
Yeah, last but not least is turmeric, which is this beautiful yellow color. You do have to be careful with turmeric. It will stain things if you use it too much. So turmeric has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. You've probably heard a lot about it on the news, on the internet, people talking about it. So there have been a lot of studies and research into turmeric and its benefits. Again, it grows like a root similar to ginger. You can sometimes find the fresh root that you could grate, but most commonly is this powdered turmeric that you can just buy in the grocery store. So,
and that doesn't have as strong of a flavor. You can really mix that in a lot of things. It will give it a color, of course,
yes,
without the flavor, but if you're interested in the turmeric for its beneficial properties.
Yep. And turmeric, it is the compound in it, the phytochemical that's in it is curcuminoids. And those are best absorbed. Those are fat soluble. So having turmeric with some source of fat, whether it be the oil that you're cooking with or the golden milk that we're going to make today, we're using 1% milk that has some fat in it. It's also best absorbed, those curcuminoids, along with a compound in black pepper called piperine that helps absorb those curcuminoids.
So for absorption purposes, is it better to have the turmeric in this form versus people taking it in capsules and so forth? And there's no real,
right,
estimated amount you need or whatnot.
Correct. So there are turmeric supplements and capsules that you can take now, but there isn't any hard science on this is how much you should be taking for this issue. So I always think it's better just to get these nutrients through your food instead of relying on supplements.
Okay.
And that's another good point with ginger, especially any kind of ginger supplement or capsule. You have to be careful with blood thinners. But the amount of ginger that you would get from cooking is perfectly safe.
Well, it's a nice array of colors and so
Yeah.
forth. So we're on to making golden milk?
Yes, we're going to make golden milk, which is a very popular drink in India. And it combines milk, whether it be cow's milk, or if you wanted to use plant-based milk like soy milk, almond milk, coconut milk is also popular, which of course would have a source of fat in it to help absorb that. So we have milk, a little bit of honey, vanilla, our turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon.
So we're using these three, not the allspice.
Right, we're going to leave out the allspice today, and we're going to add a little grind of pepper to help us absorb all those curcuminoids. So we'll get started just mixing everything in a pot, and then we're going to heat it on the stove just till it's steaming.
Okay.
Okay.
So you say this is 1% milk?
Yep, this is 1% milk. So for this recipe,
Put the whole amount in?
We're adding 2 cups of milk, and then we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of honey. You could also use maple syrup, or you could leave the sweetener out altogether if you prefer, but I think it just adds a nice little flavor.
I like honey in just about anything.
Me too.
So two tablespoons of honey.
Yep.
2 cups of milk.
Mm-hmm.
And what's next? Vanilla?
Yep. Add about a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to add a whole teaspoon of our ground turmeric. A 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. And a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And you can already see this beautiful golden color of our golden milk. Then we're just going to add a couple of grinds of black pepper. The point isn't to make this taste like pepper. It's just to have enough of the pepper in there to give us those phytochemicals that will help our bodies absorb all these benefits. So we're going to take this over to the stove, just whisk it together and heat it till it's steaming.
Okay.
So our milk is steaming. We don't want it to boil, just steam a little bit, be nice and warm. So we're going to take this over here. And you could certainly just drink it as is, but we do have a milk frother here. So similar to how you get a latte at a coffee shop, we can actually make this kind of a golden milk latte.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is just a frother I bought online. It cost a few dollars, battery operated. So we're just gonna stick it in the pot here.
That is a nifty gadget.
It is.
It would come in handy to lattes, cappuccino.
Lattes, you can make your own pumpkin spice latte at home. And it'll work really
nice.
with any kind of milk, with you know, soy milk or regular cow's milk that you can just warm up in the microwave or on the stove. So
I have to get myself one of those.
Yeah, I think it just does a really good job of kind of bringing all of this together and making it a little extra special.
Now, if you make this with milk versus alternative milks, milk has tryptophan in it, so it can help with sleep, correct? I had a friend of mine that actually gave me some golden milk powder and said mix it with milk for...
Yeah, so a lot of people will drink warm milk or a beverage like this at bedtime just to help with sleep. And sometimes it can just be something nice and warm and comforting to kind of relax you for the evening as well. So our golden milk is nice and frothy. So we have a couple of glasses here.
This looks like a milkshake.
I know, you can see that beautiful golden color. And it's nice and
All right,
frothy.
let's give it a try.
So
Cheers.
cheers.
It's quite good. It beats drinking plain warm milk. 'Cause
For sure.
I've tried it. It's very tasty.
Yep, it has kind of a similar flavor to if you've ever had a chai tea or a chai latte.
Definitely.
Very similar, but of course a lot more of the turmeric.
And I know a lot of people have these spices in their cabinet, their basic spices, especially in the fall time of year for making pumpkin pie and various things of that nature.
Yeah, and if you have all of these spices on hand, you know, you can make your own pumpkin pie spice or other spice blends, so you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of different blends of herbs and spices. You can make your own.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, very good. And is there an advantage to using cow's milk versus other milks like, well, there's so many now, soy, oat, cashew, almond.
There are a lot of different milks on the market, especially plant-based milks. We're just using cow's milk today because that's what I usually have at home and what I normally drink. Cow's milk does have a lot of protein and a lot of calcium in it. Other plant-based milks, they're getting a little bit closer to regular cow's milk, but aren't quite the same nutritionally. Soy milk is a great alternative if you're looking for a drink that has some protein in it. Almond milk, cashew milk, those other plant-based milks don't have any protein in them. So you would think almonds have protein, this milk is probably good for me. But it's not quite the same once they make milk out of it. Of course, if you're lactose intolerant or if you're vegan, somebody who doesn't want to drink milk or can't drink milk, then those other plant-based milks can certainly be used. I know coconut milk is a very popular option, especially for this kind of drink. It goes well with those flavors.
And it has fat in it that will help with the absorption.
It does. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your knowledge on these various spices and how they can be so good for you.
Thank you, Mary.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Focus on Health here on PAC 14.